Okay, hi guys. This is my first attempt at a video blog. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but hopefully I'll improve as we go on. A little bit about myself. My name is Steve. I born in London. I'm 57 years of age, and lived in London until I was 7. Lived very close to the Arsenal football ground, which, as you probably guessed, I am an Arsenal football supporter. Stayed there till I was 7, and then moved out to a place called Milton Keynes. Sorry, a place called Aylesbury near Milton Keynes, and stayed there till I was 17. At the age of 17, I applied to join the Thames Valley Police Cadets, but wasn't successful. But fortunately, the Royal Air Force came along with an advert advertising for RAF Police. So I applied for that, and I got it. And at the tender age of 17, joined the Royal Air Force, spent 10 fantastic years there, travelled the world. But shortly after I joined, I wanted to be an RAF Police dog handler, and I applied and was accepted, and went off to a place called RAF Debden, which is in Suffolk. I think it's near Bury St Edmunds. The actual RAF base doesn't exist anymore, but in those days we had 2 German Shepherds to train. Whichever one completed the course is the one that you would keep. I had 2 dogs. One was called Storm and the other one was called Lady. Storm was absolutely superb with obedience and the agility and the attacking of criminals. He learned very quickly, and was very, very good. Lady, on the other hand, was very good at the agility, very good at obedience, but when it came to the attacking, it was rather comical what she used to do. And basically what would happen is you go onto a field with your dog in one hand and a machine gun in the other, and a criminal, as they used to call them, would come out onto the field in front of you and would have a gun and would start shouting and screaming at you. And at this point, you're supposed to challenge the criminal and then let the dog go. And as the dog is approaching the criminal will fire, and you will then open fire. With Lady, we'd go out onto the field. She knew something was going to happen. She's barking and whatever. The criminal would come out. He would start shouting at her and shouting at me. I would challenge him and then let the dog go. And Lady goes screaming towards him. However, when the criminal opened fire, she would come to a screaming halt, turn round, run back to me and hide behind my legs. We must have tried this about a dozen times, and she was having none of it. It was almost something out of a cartoon, the way she would screech to a halt and then come back to me. It was a shame because she was a lovely dog, but she was released from the RAF and was handed over to a family, and she became a very, very good family pet. Storm was the one that I had and took him up to Scotland. Went to a place called RAF Lossiemouth, and he was just, as I say, superb. Learned very quickly, very loyal. He won the National RAF Police Dog Trials, and just was fantastic. From there, I went to Hong Kong, had to leave Storm behind because in those days, taking a dog abroad wasn't so much of a problem. Bringing it back would have been, because you used to have 9 months quarantine in those days. So Storm stayed behind and he was handed over to somebody else. I went to Hong Kong and lived like a king for nearly 2 years. Absolutely fantastic place. And I had things like all my washing was done for me. You'd leave your washing out in a bag outside your room. You'd have your own room, which in those days was unheard of in the RAF. You always had to share a room. But you'd leave your washing in a bag, and then at the end of the day, it'd be back, washed, ironed, folded, and ready for you to put away. You'd leave your boots outside the door, and you come back and they'd be gleaming. We were spoiled. Without doubt, we were spoiled. I had handmade suits made, and they were done within 2 or 3 days. You go for a fitting, and then 2 or 3 days later you go back and you'd have your own suit. You even could design your own suit. I tried that once, and I called it my Elvis suit, and it was a black suit, 2-piece. The jacket was black with white shoulders, front and back, and a zip that went from your shoulder down to your opposite hip. And the trousers were black, flared of course in those days, but it had a white bum. And I used to wear this and think, I looked the bee's knees. I think in hindsight I probably didn't. And one day I'll show you photos, and but I'm not going to do it now because I'm too embarrassed. But it was good. It was good fun. Spent 2 years in Northern Ireland, which was absolutely brilliant. The love to the Irish people, considering what they had to put up with in those days. They had a fantastic sense of humour. And I was in the RAF, and we weren't frontline, so we didn't see much of the troubles, but we had some interesting experiences. One particular experience I'll tell you about was bonfire night. And in Northern Ireland in those days, I don't know if it still is, but in Northern Ireland in those days, fireworks were banned for obvious reasons. And on bonfire night, my wife, who was then, and I decided to go for a walk. And as we're going for a walk, my wife's on my right-hand side, and on my left-hand side is a load of bushes. And as we're going for a walk, all of a sudden there's this bang, 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 bang. And I just instantly dived into the bushes, leaving my wife standing there. Very gentlemanly, very brave. And it turned out it were fireworks. Equally, I was on what do they call them? A post at the front of the entrance to the RAF base, and on the civilian side of the RAF base, about 100 yards further down, there was like a junction, and I'm there with this dirty great big machine gun and whatever, and this car comes down this side road and turns to go away from the base, and all of a sudden there's this bang, bang, bang. And we think that, pardon the word, shit, we're under attack. We all dive for cover, all these big burly RAF police people, and it was a car backfiring. So again, we all got up, dusted ourselves down, looked at each other as if to say nobody saw that, did they? But Northern Ireland was good, and so we had some laughs, and so the Irish were just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Stayed in the RAF for 10 years, and then towards the end of my 10 years, I decided that I wanted to join the civic police. And I must have applied for just about every police force in the country, including Northern Ireland. And Leicestershire Police were the first ones to accept me. And I joined them in 1986 and spent 16 years with them. Had a thoroughly great time, and next time I do this blog, I'll tell you some of the stories, some not nice. I've experienced things within the civic police that I'd rather not, but things also that I'm proud of, and I'll tell you all about them the next time. So this is a short blog. I'm going to take advice from people that I know how long these should last for. Don't want to bore you to tears, but hope you enjoy it, and speak again. I'll do the next blog next week.